Trump is going to be arrested. Putin is going to be arrested. I hope the people doing these arrests have the moral authority to undertake these arrests and aren't basically criminals themselves.
I can almost guarantee that they are.
Donald Trump has announced he's going to be arrested. First he said it will definitely be on Tuesday. Then he said it might not be on Tuesday. And
Can anybody please explain to me what it is that Donald Trump allegedly did? I've been trying to figure out it's been years now, and I still have no idea exactly what they think that he did. I've heard collusion with Russia, but collusion how? And I've researched it myself, tried to figure out exactly what it is they think he did, and I still have nothing. It doesn't seem like anybody really knows. There's like a lot of taxpayers' dollars being dumped into that investigation, so it is kind of important.
the important question, of course, is who has the moral authority to exact and enact these arrests? What is the central body that's able to say, you, Donald Trump, you're under arrest? To have that authority, it means you'd have to be in a position yourselves that is transcendent of, at very least, the crimes that Donald Trump has himself allegedly committed. So let's have a look at what's being alleged, and let's have a look at who's alleging it, and let's see who's conducting this process, and if there's any legitimacy to their claims.
Maybe this guy's gonna clear it all up for me.
Have the right to undertake this process if they themselves are similarly guilty of comparable transgressions.
Former President Donald Trump making new headlines as he uses his social media platform to claim that his arrest is imminent.
Now, of course, what is being alleged is that Trump paid Stormy Daniels money to keep quiet in the build-up to the 2016 election.
How in the hell are we still talking about Stormy Daniels? Like, she is a super irrelevant ex-porn star that Donald Trump may have had a thing with, which he is like a super rich billionaire type dude, and fucking top tier level porn stars is kind of what they do, isn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I would do if I was a billionaire. I'd be kind of disappointed if he didn't.
So let's continue to look at this story and unpack the details of what specifically is criminal about what Trump's done. And is it about an investigation in order to sort of solve some moral or potentially criminal quandary? Or is it about delegitimizing Trump's 2024 presidential bid?
Former President Trump taking to his social media app Saturday, claiming he will be arrested on Tuesday.
He's still got it, any Trump. He's still got the ability to stir up a story. He's also still got the ability to stir up a storm. That's part of the problem, apparently.
Former Trump
You know, he's right. Donald Trump is like the best at stirring up a story, and stormy, evidently. That kind of reminds me, I'm going to show y'all this TikTok that I reacted to. It had a really funny snippet of one of Donald Trump's speeches talking about transgender athletes, and it was really hilarious.
Check out this high school race. Look at the cute little girls running. Look, maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Trump, he's a businessman. Check out what he had to say about this.
If I was a basketball coach, I'd be the greatest coach in history. I'd have a women's team. I'd have all men. I'm not a fan of LeBron James. I don't like LeBron. But I'd say, hey, LeBron, you ever think of becoming a woman? We're going to go undefeated for the next 5 years, LeBron.
That's a smart dude, man. He think about money. He a business man. He a what? He a businessman.
That's fucking hilarious and so true. I mean, if I wanted to be a coach nowadays, I would be a coach on the women's league and just use all males. We'd fucking crush them bitches.
Trump administration official John Bolton saying the call has echoes of January 6th.
If he's calling people into the streets, this time he's seen the experience of January the 6th, and I think this is potentially very dangerous.
This is a fascinating story in so many ways. A kind of new mythology appears to be being forged. January the 6th. Insurrection, anti-establishment rhetoric. However significant all of this stuff is, and I'll leave it to you to determine how important it is, perhaps your opinions vary. What it is not going to do is address the function and ability to legislate of centralized power. To a degree, this is a sideshow. To a degree, when you're thinking about this stuff, what you're not thinking about is how is my community going to be organized? What's going to be done about the cost of living crisis? What's going to be done about this escalating conflict? What are we going to do about this breakdown of our social fabric? It's of course interesting when figures like Trump are in the center of the news cycle. But it's, I think, really important that we maintain a connection to some true ethical values. If we have any connection or understanding of ethics at all, we can see that the Democratic Party are guilty of comparable transgressions, which we'll go into in more detail. So that shows me that, once again, this is another one of those stories where neither party are significantly different from one another. And there is no centralized force that has the authority to arrest Trump or arrest Putin because they have no legitimacy.
This after a pivotal week in the criminal investigation. Daniels meeting with Manhattan prosecutors and former Trump attorney Michael Cohen testifying for about 5 hours in front of a grand jury about that alleged hush money payment.
Law enforcement agencies are preparing for a possible indictment of Mr. Trump as early as next week, NBC News reports. The grand jury in Manhattan has been hearing from witnesses, including former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, who says he orchestrated payments to the women to silence them about sexual encounters they said they had with Mr. Trump a decade earlier. Mr. Cohen claimed Mr. Trump directed him to make payments worth $208,000 to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, something the former president denies. Okay, so this is by Jonathan Turley, professor of public interest law at the George Washington University.
Who cares? She's a washed-up porn star. And she's fat. She's just trying to keep her name relevant.
Hearing from witnesses, including former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, who says he orchestrated payments to the women to silence them about sexual encounters they said they had with Mr. Trump a decade earlier. Mr. Cohen claimed Mr. Trump directed him to make payments worth $208,000 to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, something the former president denies. Okay,
That's
so
too
this
much.
is by Jonathan Turley, professor of public interest law at the George Washington University. While we still do not know the specific state charges in the anticipated indictment, the most
Neither do
discussed
I.
will fall under Section 175 for falsifying business records based on the claim that Trump used legal expenses to conceal the alleged hush payments that were supposedly used to violate federal election laws. While some legal experts have insisted such concealment is clearly a criminal matter that must be charged, they were conspicuously silent when Hillary Clinton faced a not dissimilar campaign finance allegation.
You don't
So here we're
say.
going to unpack the similarities between presumed charges that Trump might face and the allegations already made about the Clinton campaign. Last year, the Federal Election Commission fined the Clinton campaign for funding the Steele dossier as a legal expense. Okay, so they were found guilty of doing that because they were fined. The campaign had previously denied funding the dossier, which was used to push false Russia collusion claims against Trump in 2016, and it buried the funding in the campaign's legal budget. Yet there was no hue and cry for this type of prosecution in Washington or New York. What you've got to ask then is, where is power centralized and what decisions are being made? Why is this instance being pursued and investigated and prosecution being made on this basis, while in this instance, the Democrat Party instance, a fine was issued? This is obviously speculative because I can't obviously know, but it seems like whatever Trump is, his interests are not in alignment with those forces, because if those forces were neutral, they would be prosecuting in both instances. They have selected not to. I'm sure you could get someone to talk in it.
I think that's what a lot of people like about Donald Trump. He's not your typical politician, and people are sick of politicians because they take way too much of our money that we don't get near enough in return, and they're super corrupt, fringe on rights, and just people are kind of sick of that shit. And Donald Trump was something new, and I think people kind of like that. So yes, he is not a part of the system that everyone seems, at least the common people, seem to despise so much. Let's get back to Russell Brand trying to fight the centralized power.
Ned, likely on MSNBC or whatever, oh, these are the distinctions, this is why it's different. But doesn't it seem at this point that centralized establishment power is more in alignment with figures like Clinton and Biden and Obama than it is with peculiar outliers like Donald Trump? And once again, I'm not a person who would ever vote
Yes,
for Donald Trump
it
or
does
believe that Donald Trump is the
seem
solution.
that
But what's
way.
clear is that Donald Trump is some sort of antagonist to centralized power, that money and time is being spent on indicting Donald Trump that isn't being spent on indicting the Democratic Party. That is a difference. What does that difference tell you? A Section 175 charge would normally be a misdemeanor. The only way to convert it into a Class E felony requires a showing that the intent to defraud includes an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. That other crime would appear to be the federal election violations, which the Justice Department previously declined to charge. The damage to the legal system is immense whenever political pressure overwhelms prosecutorial judgment. The criminal justice system can be a terrible weapon when used for political purposes, an all too familiar spectacle in countries where political foes can be targeted by the party in power. None of this means Trump is blameless or should not be charged in other cases. However, we seem to be on the verge of watching a prosecution by plebiscite in this case. The season opener of America's Got Trump might be a guaranteed hit with his New York audience, but it should be a flop as a prosecution.
So, The Hill? I have never heard of those guys, but damn, they be spitting.
Yo, if you like that video, hit like and subscribe. Do it now with your fingers. Likey, subscribe.